Murder! Murder! Murder!
Most Foul. Welcome to Most Foul TV. This is Most Foul TV with your host, Henne.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Most Foul TV. I'm your host, Don T. Pena, and this is Most Foul Chief. All right, so first of all, let me apologize. It's been a couple of weeks, guys. We've been out for a bit. Craziness with everything. I got busy. Didn't have a chance to put out some new videos for you, but we're back at it. I got a lot to cover. Not a lot going on in the NFL as usual, but because I had certain topics I wanted to cover over the last few weeks, we're going to kind of pile them all up in this episode. So should add for some fun stuff, a lot of topics to go over, a lot of stuff I want to get through, but wait a minute. Something's wrong. Something feels wrong before we even start. I can't, wait a minute. I think it's this. So I think I'm wearing the wrong jersey. Unfortunately, just like in real life, the Chiefs had to move on from Alex Smith. I think I have to as well with the jersey. And something came in the mail the other day, and I think I need to show it to you guys. Give me 1 second. What do we have here? What is this? Yes. Shut up, punk ass. What is that? Yes, that is an official Super Bowl Mahomes jersey. So we are going to transition right now. Unfortunately, Alex, we love you. Did a great job for us, but we need to move on to the future and present of the Kansas City Chiefs, which is Patrick Mahomes. Let's get this off. If I can go the other way. The funny thing with this damn jersey, it's supposed to be a medium. This thing's like a damn small. Let's put that over there. We'll put that away later. Let's take this guy. This is supposed. The funny thing about this one, it's supposed to be an extra large, and this thing actually fits me like a medium. So go figure. Jersey sizes aren't always correct. That's better. Yeah. Now I think I believe we're wearing the right jersey now. All right. Now we're modern. We're caught up. We're up to date. We got our Super Bowl jersey on. Patrick Mahomes. The great one. All right. Now I feel better. Not that I didn't with, Alex Smith, but unfortunately, like I said, that was the past. This is the current and the future. So here we go. Feels so much better. Look at that. Nice too. Got it on eBay for a hell of a deal. I think you can't even find these freaking things now. I think when you go to Fanatic, you go to fanatics.com, they only have like XX or small. Or I think they have like the women's sizes in medium. I believe last time I checked, didn't have any extra large. Didn't have large. They had like XX and small for the Mahomes jersey for the championship Super Bowl jersey. So I was able to get lucky. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like leaning down on this damn thing. And I went on eBay and I found this little bastard for about $80, something like that. 80, 85. It was a hell of a deal. The guy said he never wore it. Maybe he had an extra one. I don't know. I didn't ask. I saw the price. I looked at look at the pictures. Everything looked cool, brand new. So I'll take it. So cool. Let's get right into it, guys. Like I said, we got a lot to cover, a lot of stuff. And today's episode, mostly, we'll cover some other topics in a minute here. Get my notes out. But the bulk of this, or at least the main part of this episode, is going to be around the state of the AFC West and our opponents. I know we've kind of talked a little bit about them. Me and the Brit Chief had some conversations about them. I've commented on the division a little bit, but I haven't spent a good amount of time and like really diving into the other three teams, and mostly it's just talking shit about them, right? Which I'm still gonna do, but we'll cover them in a little more detail and really take a look at what the AFC West has to offer to its champions, right? So that we'll get to that in a second. That's gonna be that's gonna be most of this episode. Now I know you guys are expecting me to rant on some shit, but unfortunately, Skip Bayless hasn't said anything stupid lately. At least nothing that annoyed me or that I found. So no rants today. That or at least this week, no rants this week that I could think of. So Skip Bayless, you get a pass, or pretty much anybody else. Now, so let's. I kind of was debating this, whether or not I wanted to kind of talk about this or cover it or not. But I kind of feel like I have to. It's the state of the world right now and everything that's going on. It's almost, how can you not, right? How can you not address it as a human being, as a person going through all of this stuff, as a citizen, whatever, as a citizen of the country, a citizen of the planet, you cannot be blind to the stuff that's going on around you unless you just fucking choose to. So, there's the first fuck of the episode. There you go, 6 minutes in. Everybody should be proud of me. It took me 6 minutes to say my first fuck. So, obviously, we have the virus, COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it's devastating. It's still here. Like, it's obviously, on the obvious deadly part of it that, for families and all of that hardship that's causing, but on the selfish side for us that are not dying from it or even sick from it, it's obviously affecting everyday life when it comes to like something like this, like our sports, right? And now their season where we were optimistic about it, now we're like there's talk of like it might not happen, and maybe if it happens, no fans, and so I'm still being optimistic. Hopefully we do still get a season, and we get a season with fans. And so, because not just so much for the selfishness of, we want football, but if that does happen, then that means we are in a good spot around the country, that if we were able to have football games somewhat normal, obviously they're going to take precautions, we're not going to be completely normal, but if they're able to have fans in stadiums with whatever precautions they're going to take, then that's a good sign. And that means that at least we're in a position where we can have those kinds of things. Because if we're going to have the season of like empty stadiums with no fans, and that's just not good. I mean, that means that we're still so fucked that we can't even have that. And that's just horrible. Because the reality of that is people are still dying. And me and my buddy, Dan Clore, shout out to Dan. You guys have heard his name floating around. He'll be on that episode. Oh, I'm gonna get to him in a minute. With that, I got something about that. But like me and him were talking about it. Like one of the worst parts of this whole thing is for people that have gotten sick from it or have lost loved ones, or even people who are just losing loved ones, or people that are in a hospital. Maybe you have an elderly parent, grandparent, family member from natural causes or some other fucking thing, like just any other normal situation that might cause a medical emergency, and maybe it's not going good, and in a normal situation that's hard enough to say goodbye to a family member, but in a normal situation you at least had the luxury of being able to go to the hospital and call the family, everybody, like he only has X amount of days or weeks or whatever, come say your goodbyes. People can't do that right now. And that's even worse. That's like getting kicked in the balls after you already got your ass kicked and you're on the floor. Like, how horrible is that for these families and these people that have to go through that? And you can't even say goodbye to your loved ones in person because of this. So, so that's another hard part about it. So, and again, we have to, just as human beings, as decent people, I don't give a shit what you think of it, if you think it's a hoax, you political, I don't fucking care. At the end of the day, show some human decency, wear a mask. Doesn't fucking take that hard. Like, you know, whatever. Swallow your pride. Because here's the other side of that. If you're wrong, and guess what? It actually is real, you're possibly killing someone. Okay, that's the reality. Other than maybe it's a hoax, maybe it's political, blah, blah, blah. You don't know. You're not a fucking doctor, right? So get your head out of your ass, swallow your pride, wear a fucking mask. It's not that hard. It really isn't. You know, you wear it for about 30 seconds in a store, liquor store, gas station, wherever the hell you're at. You grab your shit, you walk out, you go back to the car, take it off. It's not that fucking hard, right? So, you know, I don't like doing it, but I do it. You know, whatever, no big deal. You know, just and it we've seen it. Like, I mean, and the other thing that annoys me about that, and I'm not gonna go too much on a rant on this, but the thing that annoys me when I hear stuff like that, it's like, so the whole world isn't on it? Every country, every government on the whole planet is all in on this supposed hoax or political agenda. Really? They all got together, every single country. Hey, let's all, like, come on. You know, use your brain, people. Use some fucking common sense. So yeah, but it sucks, man. And hopefully, again, so if we're being careful and we're taking care of each other, wear your mask, do your social distancing, wash your hands, which you should be fucking doing anyway. I mean, I that just always made me laugh. They're like, wash your hands. Who the fuck wasn't washing their hands? But I mean, I guess if everybody was, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. Well, I mean, obviously there's other issues too, and preparation, all that, but we're not getting into that. So be careful out there, guys. And again, it's hard, it sucks, but I'm gonna do my part to try to entertain you guys. And while we're stuck here, you know, and having to deal with this, and you know, we'll see. We're all in this together. So we'll try to make it as best we can. And for those who have had family members, who've lost family members, or are going through it, man, my heart goes out to you guys. Be strong, and you'll get through it. The other big issue that I was thinking whether I was going to talk about this or touch on it, but again, I felt that I had to. I mean, again, obviously the jersey I'm wearing was a man who decided, probably against advisement of other people who might have thought maybe you shouldn't say something about this. Obviously, I'm talking about Black Lives Matters. I'm talking about the protest. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes being the face of the NFL, being the face of the franchise, and stepping up. And people were shocked about that. It's like, why were you shocked? He's half black. How can he not talk about that? Now, and he even said, he had a great, he had a bunch of great speeches, but, or you know, dialogue, whatever you want to call it. But one of the things he said that, and it was really good, was that he's never himself felt racism directly towards him, or really suffered in any kind of form the way some other communities and some other people and families have. And the problem with prejudice and police brutality and all that, like you said, he grew up in a different situation. He grew up in a very special situation and a very privileged situation. He acknowledges that. But he also acknowledges that being a black man, or half black and half white, you know, being a minority, and being a minority in a position of celebrity, power, whatever you want to call it, but being in the public eye where he has a voice. He said, so he wants to use his platform to speak out and speak up for people who can't. That's a leader. That's a great thing for someone like that. For a kid that young, that has that kind of popularity, he could have said, I ain't saying shit. I don't want to mess up my endorsements. I have all this money coming in. This stuff's going to blow over. It doesn't concern me. Excuse me. It doesn't concern me. He could have said all that, but he didn't. And he said, no, I'm going to, and part of that, I think, is just because it's important to him. We've said it a bunch of times that he's a good kid. He's a decent person. He's humble. And he sees people that are suffering out there. He sees people that are feeling in the injustices that are being done to them. And he needed to join that fight. He felt he needed to join that fight. And that, again, that shows character. And so that was awesome to see. That was awesome to see him do it, to see Lamar Jackson and Houston's fucking Deshaun Watson, JJ Watt, Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield, you know. So it's not just the black quarterbacks doing it or the black athletes doing it, you know. Because again, this goes beyond what you guys, you know, what you might think about it. You can feel what you want about the kneeling or whatever, have your opinion. But here's what you cannot do, and here's what you cannot ignore, right? When Kaepernick started this and voiced his opinion, right? It was about this very subject that people are protesting out there right now and rioting and getting angry. And now, granted, it's slowed down a bit. It's calmed down a bit, which is great. But the protests are still going on. They're still doing, you know, they're still voicing they're still having their voices out there. When he started it, it was about police brutality. That was his main focus. And then it got hijacked and it got distorted because people took it personal. Like they looked at it, how dare you, and flag and million. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Come on. Stay on task here, okay? Focus. He told you what it was about. You cannot change the subject or distort it or alter it because that's what you want to believe. When someone tells you that that's why they're doing it, and then you not only refuse to believe it, but then no, it's because this. Motherfucker, I just told you why. How are you going to tell me why I did something when I just told you? I literally just told you. That's like me telling you the color of this jersey is red, and you're like, no, that color is green. No, bro, it's red. Like, it's literally red. Look, it's red. No, I don't believe that. It's green because I said it. Like, what the fuck kind of crack are you smoking? Like, no. Like, so that's annoying. And again, because it became obviously Trump with his bullshit, that his speech, and he was one of the people that started the whole flag thing, and it's about the military and respect, and it had nothing to do with that. Ignoring the fact that Kaepernick, you wanted to talk about disrespect. When he first did it, he wanted it to be disrespectful. He felt angry about young black men and women and minorities getting gunned down by police without provocation, without, you know, in some cases just brutally murdered. And he felt that they weren't getting justice, and they weren't getting, going through due process, being arrested, being accused of something, getting to go to court, and at least proving whether or not you're innocent or guilty. They weren't even getting that much of it. They were like just getting gunned down. And in Kaepernick's eyes, he was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not even going to stand for your national anthem. I'm going to sit this out because you guys are sitting there with your hand on your heart and looking up at the flag, and that's a representation of our country and our freedoms, and you expect me to stand there and have that same celebration with you when there's an issue going on. So no, I'm not even going to participate in this ceremony. I'm going to sit down. Fuck you. That was his attitude. Right? And whether you agreed with that attitude or not, that's what he did at the beginning. And then it started to gain the first 2 weeks or whatever, they started to report on it. It started to gain traction. And then he sat and talked with I believe he was was he a Marine? I don't know if he was a Marine or a Navy SEAL. I think he was a Navy SEAL, if I remember correctly. The serviceman that he talked to, and I forget his name. But he sat and talked to him about it, voiced his opinion and his views, and they sat together and they said, he's like, you know what, you should, instead of sitting out, instead of not even participating and just sitting on a bench, which is a little more disrespectful, he's like, why don't you participate but take a knee? Because a knee symbolizes respect. A knee not only symbolizes that you're showing respect to something, but at the same time also showing distress, right? What do players do when a player is injured? What do? They all take a knee, right? And they put their head down and they're praying for him and hoping he's not injured or whatever, and they take a knee. Is that disrespectful? No. We look, they're showing respect. But yeah, and they're also because they're also stressed out. They're showing distress at the same time. So anybody who thinks that taking a knee and all that is disrespectful, guess what? Then you need to take that stance with every other instance where that applies. Hang on. problem with having 4 dogs. That's the problem with having 4 dogs. They like to interrupt you. Where was I? Fix my mic here. Hang on. You have to have that stance with every other thing that applies when it comes to taking a knee. So when a man proposes to a woman or whoever, when a person proposes to another person in marriage, and they take a knee, you better hope or you better believe that, oh, that's disrespectful, if that's your stance. Because taking a knee, oh, look how disrespectful he is. He's disrespecting their relationship. He took a knee. Why don't you think of it that way? Because it's accepted. Because taking a knee is, again, the idea of taking a knee, if you really think about it, if you really analyze it, what is that? It's showing submission, right? It's bowing down to someone or something. Showing, like, you want mercy, or I'm lowering myself to you. In the case of a proposal, that's what that is. I'm bowing down to you, and I'm offering to be your life mate, right? That's the idea. But if you think taking a knee is disrespectful, then every time you see that, then you have to believe, oh, that they're disrespecting the relationship, right? Again, I gave the example of the players. If they take a knee every time a player is injured, they're disrespecting that player. What a wimp, what a pussy, right? Because they're taking a knee. How is that not disrespectful? So you see what I'm talking about here, right? When you go to church and people are praying, you get down on your knees, right, on those little pews or whatever the hell they're called. They're taking a knee when they're praying. Oh, they're disrespecting God. They're disrespecting religion. They're taking a knee. How come you don't view it that way? It's because the conversation got distorted. The narrative got distorted. And it got hijacked. And then people chose to believe what was convenient for them because they refused to believe the reality. And the reality was police brutality exists. The reality was some cops just are racist and assholes and choose to use and cowards and choose to use their weapons before anything else. But they don't care about anything. They don't want to question. They're like, fuck it, because they know nothing's going to happen. And I'm not saying all cops, I am saying some cops. And whatever percentage of cops that is, that needs to change. And you've heard it over and over with all these protests. Not only is it the bad cops, but the good cops who say nothing. And I feel for those good cops because I've seen a lot of articles where they're stuck in a rut. Now, some of the very, very brave ones have lost their jobs for this because they believed in this cause. They try to fight it. They try to report their partners or their fellow bad police cop coworkers, and then their sergeants and their captains and every higher up person that they reported to basically didn't side with them, told them, fuck you, you're a snitch, gave them hell for however much longer they were a police officer, and then eventually fired them. So as a good cop, if you're a good cop, I can see how that makes it very, very hard to try to step up and protect the public. Because you're like, fuck, no one's going to believe me. And then not only that, I'm going to lose my job. And I'm sure a lot of these guys, it's brave for those who did it. And you can sit there and say, get some balls, fuck it, get fired. But I understand people got bills, they got families and all that. But how much of that morality is worth it, right? And now we're seeing it. Now it's spilled over. Now it got to the point where enough is enough. And that's what you're seeing out there. So going back to the knee stuff, though, my point with that was, again, if your viewpoint is taking a knee is disrespectful, then you need to take that stance with every single other situation where someone is taking a knee. Not just when it came to that. Because the only reason you chose to think that way was because it talked about a subject that made you uncomfortable. Racism in this world. Racism in this country. That still exists. It exists systematically. It exists individually. It exists organizationally. And if we don't address that, if we don't acknowledge it, it's going to continue. People are going to continue to be angry, and it's going to cause more and more separation between us. And that is not what our country is about. That is not what we preach that our country is about. right? We say, every man was created equal. It's about goddamn time we start to live up to that moniker, right? That's what America is supposed to be. Equal. Everybody. All of us together. Not, well, I'm not racist and, but that's not my problem. That's my neighbor's problem. Your neighbor's crying out to you right now saying he needs fucking help. Step up. Stop being a selfish prick. Now, for those of you who are in the fight, hey, I commend you. Congratulations. Let's keep it up. Now, again, I don't know if I've said this before. You might notice I'm a little passionate about this, but I'm Native American and Mexican. So I know I'm very light-skinned, and the camera here comes from my mom's side. She's very light-skinned, and she's full Mexican, so it's kind of one of those odd things. But yes, I'm Native American and Mexican, so being in a minority group, it hits home for some of us. And I can't say I know what it's like to be shown prejudice the way a black man would, but I have had it in my day. Not as much, again, as if I probably was black, but I've definitely been pulled over for cops with bullshit excuses. You fit the description. Why are you driving slow in this neighborhood? Like, I'm looking for an address, dick. But whatever. That's a whole different thing. So, again, black. One more thing, and I saw something. I wanted to touch on this. I try to subscribe to a lot of the other Chiefs fan pages and things like that. And I actually recently unsubscribed to a specific one, and I'm not gonna mention who it was. Just because I don't want to give him any fucking attention. But I unsubscribed because he had some funny videos, but then he started talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, and then pointed to Kapernick and the way. Now again, it would have been different if he just like didn't, I don't agree with it, I don't agree with protest, whatever. You can have that stand, sure, why not, whatever. But then he started to talk about Kaepernick, and the way he started talking about Kaepernick, again, you can agree with what he did or not, and that's fine, that's your opinion. As long as you stay on track, as long as you understand what the facts are and then voice your opinion. I'll debate you all day on, something else. Like, again, I'm trying not to make this too a political episode, but this needs to be said. We'll get into the football stuff, I promise you. I'll debate you all day long on anything you want. And as long as we stay with the facts and not delusions and bullshit. And you can sit there and say, like, okay, well, I understand Kaepernick was protesting against police brutality, but I disagreed with it for X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Let's see what happens and educate each other on why you think this and why I think that. No problem. That's not what happened with this guy. This guy put out a video. He started talking about Kaepernick, and the way he started, he called him Kunta Kinte. He mentioned he's Muslim and his religion, and basically just super racist. And I was like, wow. And a Chiefs fan, unfortunately, right? I was like, wow, bro. But now I get it. I mean, I know, and I'm not saying all the fans out there, but I do understand that, Missouri's a red state, and unfortunately there is some people that have very old school prejudiced, dare I say racist type of thinking, that the way they were brought up, that's just accepted, right? I do believe that the vast majority of us are not like that, but and I'm not saying just because it's a red state, that every Republican is racist. I'm not saying that, but it definitely it kind of leans to that territory when it comes to those kinds of negative thinking people, right? That's not to say that liberals, there are any racist liberals or racist independents. I'm sure of course there is. But again, the Deep South, all that, come on, slavery was in the South. You get what I'm saying. So, but in this specific case, and with this guy, again, he went on this just racist rant, and I'm just like, I'm out. Fuck you. Not listening, not supporting it. Didn't even give him a thumbs up. Just unsubscribe. Don't care about your channel anymore. Don't care what you have to say. I just don't. So, and again, for anybody who might be offended by anything I just said here, Okay, hey, you don't have to, not that I haven't, I appreciate the 45 of you that I have right now. You guys are awesome. But if there's any one of you in that 45 or 44, I think it's 44, 45, my subscribers. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Now, again, I just started. So maybe I have the advantage. I can say whatever the fuck I want because I don't have 10,000 fans or whatever yet. But even if I did, I would still say the same shit. And if you don't like it, again, hit that little motherfucking button and go watch something else. I don't care, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to voice my opinion and be truthful about what it is. And again, we can debate stuff, but I'm not going to bullshit. And I'm not going to entertain hatred or racism or ignorance. We can debate. We can have difference of opinions and some of my friends do. I have friends that we have difference of opinion, different political views, different opinions about things, but we can talk and disagree and we're still friends because there's no hatred and bullshit. And that's what I'm saying. If you disagree with what I'm saying, you don't like it. If you think that there's no such thing as police brutality and all those people deserved it or whatever, get the fuck off my channel. Like, I don't want to know you. Like, I could care less about what your opinions are after that. Because that's just blind ignorance. That's just blind stupidity. So, yeah. So, sorry about that. Again, I didn't want it to go half hour with that stuff, with that rant. But, again, it's important, right? That's what's going on right now. And hopefully, because of all this, because of the protests, our lack of awareness and preparation for disease control and virus control, maybe these things are all happening for a reason, so we do educate ourselves more. So we are, as a country, prepared more when it comes to diseases and pandemics and things like that, so this does not happen again. Maybe we have to go through all of this so we are better prepared, better educated, and better people moving forward. And that takes change, that takes education, it takes legislation and all that other stuff. So, hang on a second. Hey, did you want to go out? Come on. Go on. Go on. Hang on, let me let her out because she keeps bugging me. Come on. All right. That was the last one. I had 3 of them in here, and that was the 3rd one that finally wanted to go out. So, all right. Oh, so that's enough about that. But let's talk football, right? Let's go football now. All right. So from this point on, nothing but football in the episode, I promise. Now, one of these days I got to buy me a goddamn gaming chair. Is that right? There we go. Make sure my microphone is in the right place. So yeah, I'm like literally just sitting on a fucking little folding chair with some pillows on it. I gotta order me a gaming chair, be more comfortable. I do want to talk about Kaepernick, but not because of the protests or the controversies or anything like that. I wanted to talk about Kaepernick. He's our first subject here when it comes to the football stuff. Because as you guys have seen, because of the protests and because of the movement, there's been talk of the NFL welcoming back Kaepernick and giving him a job. Now that's all, fine and great. And then of course it's where's he going to land? And I'm sure some of you have seen Kaepernick to the Chiefs, right? You've seen that. I know. I think Ryan at Rogue Analytics at RGR Football, I believe he talked about it. He has an episode on it, which is pretty good. Go check it out. And I've seen other articles and other people. Now, I was opposed to it. I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. Not because of, I'm afraid of, the controversy or the attention or whatever, all the excuses that other people had used, other organizations and all that. It had nothing to do with that. I just felt that it wouldn't benefit the Chiefs. It didn't make it, and it made sense for Kaepernick. I saw one article, I'm like, wow, or a news interview. I'm like, that does make a lot of sense because Kaepernick to the Chiefs. And again, off the top here, oh, what? No, what the fuck? We don't even need a quarterback, right? We have Mahomes. That's stupid. But as a backup, right? So hear me out. The first one I heard was And it made a lot of sense from Kaepernick's point of view. He's been out of the league for a couple of years, right? He needs to go to a place where the attention of him and the kneeling and all that is not a big deal because of who you have in front of you, right? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is a story in himself. So there's never going to be a clamoring for Kaepernick to start. Whereas anywhere else he goes, for the most, unless it's like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, and even then, even Russell, like if Russell starts to maybe people start clamoring for Cap needs to start, right? But again, that's I think a farther stretch even with him. But so unless you're one of those guys, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, unless you're like the top guys that are obviously locked into their positions, any other team, if that team starts to struggle, they're going to be calling for Kaepernick to start and give him a shot, right? He wouldn't have that problem in Kansas City being the backup, right? Obviously, no one's going to say, oh, like, they're struggling, start Cap over Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to happen. So that is one. Obviously, number two, Andy Reid and his track record for rehabilitating quarterbacks and their careers. I mean, he's done it time and time again, so that makes sense. It makes sense in the sense that Kaepernick would come in to a well-established team with fucking weapons galore, and gets to sit and learn and watch and behind the best quarterback in football while he's kind of getting himself back into shape, back into football shape. Maybe plays a couple of games because maybe Mahomes gets injured a game or two or whatever, or we're blowing out a team so bad they say, fuck it, they put him in. And then he puts out some plays on tape, get some stuff on tape. And then at the end of the year, now he goes and he can cash that in for a starting job, because that's the problem right now is he's not going to get a starting job because there's too many. Now, there's a couple of places he can land for a starting job, but right now we're talking about being a backup for an established team. And the Chiefs would be one of them, right? Because that's what they're talking about. According to the Chiefs, makes the most sense. That's what we're talking about. And again, at first I was like, well, no, it doesn't. Now, it made sense for Kaepernick. Like, yeah, it would make perfect sense for him to sit behind Mahomes for a year, to learn by the best quarterback in football, to learn from Andy Reid, the best coach in football, to be able to be in that kind of organization that's a Super Bowl champion. Distractions ain't going to matter. None of that. And then be able to taper that off the following year, do a starting job. Makes all the sense in the world from Kaepernick's side. But then I'm like, what did the Chiefs get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. And so I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. That was the first one I saw. Then I saw a second article that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. And I didn't know that. That makes more sense. And then I was kind of like, actually, now I'm on the, fuck it, let's sign Cap, because that makes a shitload of sense now. Let me tell you why. This is the second one. The reason, what I saw was, they named all those reasons that we just talked about, why it makes sense for Kaepernick to go to the Chiefs. But the main one that swayed me on this new article was why it makes sense for the Chiefs, what they would get out of it. And what they would get out of it is, we don't actually have a viable backup. We had Matt Moore last year, who did a hell of a job stepping in for Mahomes, for a guy who came off the bench, who was out of football for a year, was a fucking high school head coach, came off the couch and helped us win a Super Bowl. Because again, if he didn't win those two games, we don't get to the Super Bowl, folks. He stepped up and almost beat Aaron Rodgers. So let's not forget that. Without Matt Moore, we don't get to wear this, right? So a backup quarterback is essential to a championship team, to a Super Bowl team. We don't have Matt Moore anymore. He's gone. He retired. We have Chad Henne, who the Chiefs were very high on. They had high hopes for him coming in season. He got injured. That's why we had to go out and get Matt Moore. I've never been sold on Chad Henne. He used to be a starter in this league, and even then was not that great. If you compare his win-loss record, his stats, his yards in his whole career, and his touchdown to interception ratio compared to Kaepernick, it's not even close, right? Kaepernick is a better quarterback than Chad Henne. So if we're talking about backup quarterback and just talking about pure ability, Kaepernick is better than Chad Henne. And what do we get? Now, you can argue, oh, Kaepernick sucked the last 3 years he was in the league. That's why he didn't get a starting job. Not really, okay? Alex Smith sucked the last 4 or 5 years of his career in San Francisco until Harbaugh got there the last 2 seasons and there was stability. And then he started to kick ass. Then he came to the Chiefs and helped reestablish our organization. And you saw Alex Smith and what he could really do. And especially in that final year, MVP-like season. The fact that he wasn't considered an MVP candidate was bullshit that year. He should have been. He had a hell of a season, 4,000 yards, whatever it was, 35 touchdowns or 37, something like that, right? He had a great year. So Kaepernick kind of had the same problem. His first 2 seasons, they went to the Super Bowl, then they went back to the NFC Championship. And in the last 3 seasons, Harbaugh's gone. They went through, I don't know how many offensive and defensive coordinators. A bunch of their players left. Their starting lineup was decimated. So yeah, he sucked, but he wasn't the only one that sucked in that team. The whole team sucked. So you can't put that all on him. And you could even argue that they may have did it on purpose because they wanted to move on from him because of the controversy. We don't know. But that's the reality of that, right? And even then, if you still look at his stats compared to Chad Henne was never that successful, right? Chad Henne is an average quarterback at best. Hell, maybe even below average. But I was never excited about Chad Henne. And I mean, I root for him. He was on our team. He's on our team. And I'm like, hope for the best. But I was not confident. I'm like, and even Matt Moore last year, like I was like, but at least Matt Moore was a starter for a while and did some good things and then surprised the hell out of us, right? Maybe Chad Henne can do the same thing and be serviceable. But we don't know. And again, when it comes to Kaepernick versus Chad Henne, Kaepernick has better numbers. Now, the bigger question is, he has been gone for 3 years. So is he at that level? Can he be at that level? Then we wouldn't know. But so it wouldn't hurt to bring him in, sign him for a year, whatever, sign him to whatever, I don't know how, whatever their contracts work, and let him compete. And if he beats out Chad Henne, fuck it. I have no problem with it. Because then guess what you get on the field? You got Mahomes, the badass, the man, the number 1 player in the NFL. And for whatever reason, if he can't go for a game or whatever, or even if he could, but even if he's fully healthy and Andy Reid decides, well, shit, I have another dual threat, even more of a runner than Mahomes is, because Mahomes is not a runner. He uses his legs to move around in the pocket to get out of danger, but he's not going to run downfield. Kaepernick will run downfield. Like he is the Lamar Jackson, like Cam Newton, like, the other kid from the Cardinals, I'm talking about, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, like Michael Vick, he's that kind of quarterback. He's a running quarterback, right? He can use his legs and he likes to. He likes to create that. So imagine Andy Reid, let me open my notes here again, using him in certain schemes. Even if Mahomes is healthy and playing, they pull out Mahomes for a play. All of a sudden, you got Kaepernick. Goes, shit, he's going to throw or is he going to run? And with Andy Reid, are you kidding me? With the crazy stuff he can come up with, hell, you might put Mahomes and Kaepernick on the same play. Put them both on the field at the same time. Line them up next to each other. Where's the pitch going? Is it going to be a direct pitch to Kaepernick and he's going to run it, or is it going to be a direct pitch to Mahomes, and then maybe he throws it out to Kaepernick as he runs off to the side? I mean, the possibilities with that are pretty crazy. Hell, you could reverse it and have a pitch it to Kaepernick. He pretends he runs. He pitches it back to Mahomes, and Mahomes throws a bomb to Tyreek Hill down the field. Are you kidding me? It would drive teams nuts. So the possibilities in that sense are crazy. Now, on the worst end of that is if Mahomes did get injured for a game. Again, you bring in a viable quarterback. You got a guy who can move on, use his legs, and run and do, again, give teams trouble. Lamar Jackson, again, he's not at the level of Lamar Jackson when it comes to moving around with his legs, but he can still do that. He has a level of it, right? And he can throw. When he has the weapons and he has the protection, he's a good quarterback, right? He went to the Super Bowl. He went to the NFC Championship. You don't get to do those things on without not having some talent. And with the team and the talent we have with the supporting cast, it would help. He can service a couple of wins for us. So in that sense, I would actually feel better getting that kind of quarterback with that kind of skill over a Chad Henne. Because all season long, if it's just Chad Henne, I'm biting my nails, man. I'm like, please don't get injured, Mahomes. Like, again, because I've until I see it from Chad Henne, I'm gonna be a little skeptical. Again, I wasn't excited when they signed him back 2 years ago. I was like, damn, that's our quarterback. We had I forget the kid's name, but there was another quarterback that he was on our practice squad, and he was a badass. I really wanted him to get the backup job, but then they gave it to Chad Henne, and so but we'll see. So that's the Kaepernick thing. Like, again, I don't think we're gonna sign him. I don't think it's gonna happen. But those are my thoughts on it. If it did, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it does make sense. It would be a hell of a. I mean, can you imagine Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Patrick Mahomes, right? And then on some crazy trick play, all those guys, and then maybe instead of having a fullback out there blocking with Clyde, or you pull Clyde out, here comes Kaepernick lining up next to Mahomes. What the fuck are you going to do? That would be insane. But I don't think we're going to see it. It would just be cool. So, and what else we got? All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into the main, I guess the second half, I guess now, right? Portion of this episode. So the state of the AFC West and our competition, or lack thereof, right? Everybody's talking about, again, I've seen articles and Good Morning Football, or First Take, or what, all those other shows, ESPN and all that. Who's the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West? The reality is nobody. The reality is none of them. Prove it. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like I said in another episode, until you can fucking beat the Chiefs, I don't care. They've been swept 2 years in a row, I believe, right? We swept them again last year, unless we swept the division again last year. The year before that, I think only the Raiders squeaked out a win, or somebody squeaked out a win. I don't remember, or the year before that. But it's been 2 years in a row with the sweep. So, even if it's not a sweep, the division only wins like one game over us. Like, Andy Reid owns that fucking division. Everybody knows it. He has since he's got there. So until that changes, it's like they're not a threat. But somebody has to be second, right? Somebody has to come up second place in the AFC West. So what team is that going to be? And again, the games are still exciting. Doesn't mean that we don't get some good games out of it. I don't like close games when it comes to division. I like blowouts. They're fun. I get to make fun of my homies. But let's go right into it. Let's take a look. Make sure I'm still, yep. So let's take a look. We'll go with the Chargers first. I'm sorry, not the Chargers, the Broncos. We'll go with the Broncos first. And if any of you guys saw my episode of my new episode of Most Found Music with Renz Quintana, we talked a little bit about the Broncos, and he's a Broncos fan. So shout out to Renz. So let's go into it. I was a little nicer to him, but this is the Chiefs show. This is the show where we get to talk shit, right? So let's take a look. Now, who do they got? I'm looking at the roster. So Melvin Gordon, they were like, oh, everybody talk about like acquisition, or no, right, or he's coming back or whatever. So what? He didn't do much before. I don't care. To me, he's an overrated running back. I don't see him doing much. Now, the one guy they do got that may be a problem is that their new rookie wide receiver, Jerry Judy. He was definitely one of the top picks in the draft, and a guy that I was hoping was not going to come to our division. I was like, hopefully other teams take him, but we got a bunch of those top wide receivers. There's a few of them in our division that we got to look out for. But yeah, Jerry Judy, again, he was a great pickup. And who do they got though? Like beyond that, let's take a look at some of their other wide receivers here. Devontae Harris, their cornerback, he's okay, but again, doesn't scare me. Like, Dante Spencer, never heard of him. Noah Fant, their tight end, like, okay, again, doesn't scare me. I know his name, I've heard the name, but, again, not impressed. And then who do you got? Like, Cortland Sutton, he hasn't proved shit. Who else they got? Fred Brown, who are you, dude? Like, Tim Patrick, like, just a bunch of, like, ham and eggers, man. I'm sorry. Now, let me go back. Who was and then, of course, I mean, the main thing is Drew Lock, right? Quarterback. So they got Jerry Judy. Cool. You young rookie, a lot of potential. He was a good, great college wide receiver. And then now you got Drew Lock. Again, I don't believe in Drew Lock. Now, my buddy Rands, he was excited. He's like your locker, baby, and then the Denver fan base, they're excited. But I mean, how can you not be? You have to be. Like, it's your quarterback. You're not gonna not root for your quarterback, right? Until they start to suck for you. Like, we were rooting for Tyler fucking Thigpen back in the day and Brody fucking Croyle because that's who we had. Even though we goddamn knew that they weren't gonna do shit, right? And especially when they really started to suck, and then it was just like, get rid of these fucking guys. So, now, Drew Lock, again, I didn't really pay attention to their season, but it wasn't anything to, I guess, write home about. And I don't see him doing anything different. People are like, oh, Drew Lock, but again, I'm sorry. I mean, even when he came out, even in his draft, he wasn't one of the top quarterbacks in that draft. He was like, what, 5th, 6th quarterback? So, I'm not impressed. I don't think the Broncos have what it takes. They have Jerry Judy. Okay, cool. Their defense is not what it used to be. They're not the dominant defense in the AFC West. I mean, the Chiefs are, obviously, but, I mean, they're not even more dominant than the Raiders or the Chargers. I mean, I think they're all kind of pretty much the same. Now, it's funny. I think they did say last year that the Broncos were holding teams, or at least up to our game, they were holding teams to, like, they hadn't thrown a throwing touchdown on them. Then the Chiefs go and drop like 3 of them on them. So, and then it was just all downhill from there. So I thought that was hilarious. So, yeah, again, not afraid. I don't, other than Jerry Judy and like Noah Fant, like, I mean, who do they got? They're Devontae Harris, the cornerback. But again, like, other than that, it's like I'm not. Oh, Bradley Chubb, yeah, like he's another. Seriously, remember the hype on him didn't matter. So again, I don't see the Broncos doing anything. I really don't. Let's go. So let's move on to the Chargers. See what they got. Now this one's interesting. This is funny because I was a little disappointed. So I was looking at their new roster, right? And I had forgot that this happened, and I'm very pissed off about it because I'm a UCLA fan, and these bastards drafted Joshua Kelly. That one hurt. I forgot about that. So we do got to look out for him. He's a hell of a running back, and it sucks that the goddamn Chargers got him. Great for him because he's an LA boy, so he gets to stay home. Like, he's an LA kid. So, he doesn't have to go anywhere, which is cool for him. But, I mean, damn it. Seriously, like, I loved him in UCLA, and now I have to, like, hate on him because he's a freaking Charger. But, so there's a weapon for them, the Joshua Kelly. Now, how good he's going to be as a rook? Not as good as our rookie, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Clydesdale. But he's going to be good. He's going to be good. To a point. And then who they got? Justin Herbert. Ooh, they really don't care. Yeah, seriously, don't care. Prove it, rookie. And then, they got their veteran quarterback, Terrell Pryor, right? He could do some damage, right? But again, is he going to do more damage against the Chiefs? No. He'll do damage to the Raiders and the Broncos. I don't care. Like, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Like, those are the quarterbacks and the level that we've played, that we've beat. I guess with the exception of Aaron Rodgers, because Mahomes didn't get to play him. But again, what we almost did, even with our backup, right? So I think Mahomes is in that game. We destroyed the Packers. So Tyrod Taylor, no disrespect, but he's not at the level of those quarterbacks. So again, I do not fear him. And who else did they got? There was another name I wanted to bring up. Keenan Allen. He's fucking been a disappointment since day one. Like, he sucks in fantasy. He doesn't step up in big games. He's almost like, you're that middle of the road kind of wide receiver. Like, you're okay, but he's never gonna top the charts, people. Hunter Henry, same goddamn thing. Middle of the pack tight end. I don't care. Who do they got? You got the Bosa brother. He didn't do shit last year against us, so why would I care? Don't care. Austin Eckler, he hasn't done anything as a running back. And then again, so you got Tyrod Taylor, you got Justin Herbert as their quarterbacks. Don't matter. Like, again, I don't see it. And then, and then their injuries too. Like that, one of the problems with the Chargers is they're always injured, no matter what. And that has to do with their organization. That has to do with their leadership, their medical staff. They just don't know how to keep their players healthy. So who gives a shit? Even if they have Joshua Kelly and, even if Tyrod Taylor plays well, for how long? Because then they're just going to get their own team injured. So, again, don't care. Like, it's a non-issue. None of these players really scare me. So, do I think they're going to be second? No, I don't. So, what does that leave? Unfortunately, the runner-up, by default, is the lost venue Raiders. The lost venue Faders. I think they're going to take second. Only because they're the most cohesive team when it comes to the three of those, the Chargers, the Broncos, and them. They're like, again, the Chargers are bringing, again, a new quarterback. Which one is it going to be Justin Herbert? Is it going to be Tyrod Taylor? The Broncos is going to be their rookie quarterback that they just, drafted, or they're going to go somewhere else, so again, just too many new things going on with those teams. Obviously, now the Raiders are going to a new stadium, but it's still the same team. Like, the same, for the most part, it's the same team. It's the same quarterback. It's the same coach. I believe it's their same defensive coordinator. So not a lot of changeover when it comes to the Raiders, like the Chiefs. So they get to kind of bring in the same group of people. So I think that matters when you don't have a lot of change. So I think they'll do better. Now, again, it goes down to the distraction of the new stadium and all that. But let's take a look at the Raiders. Who did they get? And they're the ones that got the other wide receiver, Henry Ruggs, right? Again, he's a burner, and everybody trying to keep up with the Chiefs. The whole division did it. It's drafting these speedster players because they're all trying to keep up with the Chiefs. There's a big problem. You need a quarterback to get the ball to those players, right? And none of these teams have them. None of these teams have the quarterback that can get it to these speedsters the way they want it to, the way they're envisioning, a competition with Mahomes. So, I mean, you got old-ass Jason Witten. Come on, bro. What's he going to do? Henry Ruggs, again, he got potential. I'm going to give that rookie his due. Devontae Booker hasn't done shit in his career. You kidding me? And then where you got? Like, just bunch of Keelan Doss, right? Everybody was all excited about him last year. He didn't do shit. Is Cognito, is he even still on the team? I thought they only signed him for a year. And then, the Dan loves this one, right? He always loves to bring up this punk ass Mad Max Crosby. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? This fool even came out and said he wants to sack Mahomes and this year. Good luck with that, bro. How'd that work out for you last year? Oh yeah, you guys got annihilated, and that was with like a pretty decimated offensive line. So, that we usually don't go 2 years in a row with having that many injuries. So, good luck with that, bro. I mean, if you do, like, and again, Mahomes isn't perfect. He does get sacked occasionally. So what? See, that's the difference between the Chiefs and the Raiders. You fools are over here hunting for statistics and sacks and touchdowns. We just stack up the wins and now championships. So good luck with that, fucking Crosby, you butthead. Hunter Renfrow, didn't do shit. All hype. No bite. They got Jordan Davey. He's a former Chief. Traitor. Now, here's one thing I will say for them. They got Jonathan Abram coming back. He was injured last. Now, he was a player that I was like, damn. Like, I hated that he was going to, because he showed some potential. He could be good for them. But let's see if he stays healthy. And then even then, like, you'll be good-ish against the Chiefs. I don't care. Like, I don't fear any of these players against us. But will they beat other teams? Sure. Are they going to be a little bit better than the Broncos and the Chargers? Probably. And all of that, though, at the end of the day, all comes back to their quarterback. Like all of these teams, it's all quarterback play, and none of these quarterbacks are very good. Hell, I think Mariota might even beat out Derek Carr at some point in the season and take the fucking starting job, right? So, again, who do I think is going to be second place? I think it's going to be the Raiders, just based on continuity with the team. That's it. Consistency. That's all it is. Other than that, I think they're going to squeak it out over the Chargers and the Broncos, because I think those other two teams they just have too many unknowns. New quarterbacks coming in with new rookie wide receivers and new running backs, and the Raiders, they're just bringing in their rookie draft picks, and then the rest of it is pretty much the same team. So if broken down Carr doesn't fold under everything, they'll get second place. So the final thing, so that's my thoughts on the AFC West and the division, right? That's what we're looking at. Couple of new additions again. Joshua Kelly, I think he's going to be good. It sucks that he's a Charger. He used to be UCLA, be a Bruin, but now he's a goddamn Charger. And you got Jerry Judy, you got Henry Ruggs, cool receivers, but they're gonna die and flounder in those shitty teams. Maybe they'll get traded in 2 or 3 years to better teams, and then we can root for them. So the last thing I guess I want to touch on is my favorite subject so far, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Clydesdale, and his impact on our team. And obviously I talked about this in the first episode, but it's been brought up. It's been brought up a couple of times throughout. I think Good Morning Football, some of the other football shows. I'll crack open a beer here because I finished my soda. It's Friday for me, folks. When this episode will come out, it'll actually be Friday, but it's my Friday today. There's a lot of talk about Damian Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and how they're going to be used together. Okay, and I do believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire will either take the starting job halfway through the season, if or just through injury, and a lot. Some of the other like Football Focus and that lady that does the analytics on NFL Network, she's predicted that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be like a top player, if not Rookie of the Year, which I think he will be too. And people are not questioning, but talking about and debating how Damian Williams and the Clydesdale are going to function together and what that's going to be like. And what I see with it, why I'm excited about it, is if you guys remember, for some of the old school fans, when we had Jamal Charles as a rookie when he first came in, and then we had Larry Johnson, who I fucking hated him. Great player. I mean, he had some skill, but he was just too arrogant. He was too arrogant for his own good. He did okay if he did good for us, but I think he just had a higher opinion of himself and his ability than he actually would produce on the field, which used to piss me off. Like, I have no problem with being overconfident, even arrogant at times, if you can back it up, if your mouth can back it up, and he just couldn't. Like, he thought he was better than LaDainian Tomlinson at the time, and he wasn't. It's like Jamal Charles was. He wasn't. So, now again, and Jamal couldn't say that because he was a rookie, right? He was just coming out. But eventually, after like year 2, I'm like, damn, why ain't anybody talking about Jamal Charles over LaDainian Tomlinson? Like, this kid is right there, and he just started. But when Larry Johnson was there with Jamal Charles and he had just joined the NFL, we had this really cool, for about 2 seasons, a great 1-2 punch. And Larry was kind of the bruiser, kind of, between the tackles, just more of a power runner. And then Jamal was the threat out of the backfield and the finesse and the juke move and all that, and breaking tackles and making people miss. That was Jamal Charles. And you got to see that. So you got like a great 1-2 punch when Larry Johnson was there, as much as I didn't like his attitude, but at least you had that dynamic. And I just knew when I was watching, I'm like, yeah, Larry's produces for us, but it's only a matter of time. We need to start Jamal Charles. He needs to be the starter and let Larry stand behind him and take those, short route, a 3rd and short kind of plays. And then he kind of did our job. He kind of made the decision for us by being a dick, and then they kicked him off the team 2 years later. So no problem. And then we brought in, what was his name? The Chicago running back. Damn, and I just looked him up the other day too. Give me one. Let me look it up. So I don't sound like an idiot here. Let's see. Chicago running back. Damn it. Hang on a second. Push this out of the way. Chicago running back to Chiefs. And the man's name was, let's see, not Damian Williams, you bastards. Oh, what was his name? And I'm sure Anna, my best friend from Chicago, is probably screaming at the screen right now because she knows who I'm talking about. Come on, where is he? Not Niles Davis. Where is this dude? There we go. No, not freaking out. Well, Niles Davis too was great, but he's not the guy I'm talking about. Oh, god damn it. I can't remember the guy's name. And I had it the other day too. Dang it. No. It's funny because they're bringing up all this other stuff that like Jordan Lucas and stuff, all this other crap that I'm not looking for. Chicago Chiefs. Let's try that running back. Chicago Chiefs running back. See if that comes up. Thomas Jones. There we go. God damn it. See? And I'm sure Anna's like, Thomas Jones, fucking probably yelling at the screen and shit this whole time. Thomas Jones. So after we got rid of dumbass Larry Johnson, and then Thomas Jones came in for a couple of seasons with Jamal, and again it was this really great tandem. But by then Jamal had established himself as the lead back and the number one, and it was just a great combination of speed and power and finesse, and even veteran leadership when it from oops, dang it. Okay, I thought I messed that up. Sorry. I was like, no, I stopped recording. And veteran leadership from the guy I just mentioned. God damn it. My brain is going. That's what happens when you work all freaking day and then try to cut one of these fucking one of these videos, your brain starts to go, man. So and that's what I see. That's literally what I see with this same with this group with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Thomas Jones. There we go. Sorry. Tired, you guys. My brain's going. I'm getting old. No, I'm just tired. That's what I see with Damian Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I see that same kind of dynamic. What we had with Larry Johnson and Jamal Charles, and then what we had with Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones. Just that really, because now, and again, that running back group is crowded. We still got, what's his name? We still got Damian Williams. We still have the rookie from last year. Now I'm forgetting his freaking name here. Let's take a look at the Darwin Thompson. We still have Darwin. We still have Darrell Williams. Now they added the former Raider running back, DeAndre Washington. Obviously, we still got Sherman in the mix. So I mean, and then Elijah Majaro. So he was another guy, right? Another player they added. I can't remember if he was I think he was undrafted or he was just a free agent. I don't remember. You guys can correct me if you want. But I mean, it's a loaded backfield, man. It's a loaded backfield. So I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, Damian will lead the charge, and if he stays healthy, which he probably won't. Like again, here's again, no, not to throw shade on poor Damian Williams because he's a great running back. But here's the facts: we were 28. We were ranked 28th in the run last season. Damian Williams is a hell of a running back in the playoffs. He's a great running back in the playoffs. When in the playoffs start, that guy turns it up and goes nuts, and it's awesome. And he obviously he's one of the major reasons why we won the Super Bowl. But it's also how teams are able to take advantage of us at times, especially those 4 losses, because we didn't have a very solid, consistent run game. So you add a player like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, national champion, a guy who can make people miss, who can catch out of the backfield like Jamal Charles used to be able to do, like Priest Holmes used to be able to do, and then you sit him down and you plug in on 3rd and short or 3rd and 5, put in Damian, he'll run between the tackles and just run people over. Cool. And then if he goes down, hey, we got Darwin Thompson, now see that's going to be the question. Who are they going to get rid of or send to the practice squad? Is it going to be Darrell Williams being the 3rd back? So are we going to have Damian Williams, the Clydesdale, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is our number 2, because probably that's more likely what's going to happen. And then who's number 3? Is it Darrell Williams or is it Darwin Thompson? I'm thinking it'll probably still be Darrell, just because he's earned it more, unless Darwin just completely takes a leap up and can beat him out. But I think it'll be Darrell as the number 3. And then what do you do with Darwin? So Darwin goes to, does he go to the practice squad? Does he make the 4th running back on the roster, on the 53-man roster? And then what do you do with DeAndre Washington? What do you do with Elijah Moreau, right? You still got to make room for Sherman. So, because he ain't going anywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I do believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire will take over the starting position at some point in the season. And then by next year, we're either going to lose Damian, we're going to lose him in free agency or in a trade. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be our new number 1 running back, and you're going to see the second coming of Jamal Charles or Priest Holmes, however you want to think of it. And then we can kind of deal with who's going to play behind him. Probably Darwin Thompson will probably step up and be the number 2. He's a little small. I mean, if he can develop, or maybe they find another, or unless we keep Darrell, who knows? But Darrell's kind of up there too. Like he's kind of a pretty experienced running back in himself. So, who knows what they're where they're going to go once Clyde Edwards-Helaire takes over the starting position. But that's a whole nother year, right? That's a whole year away before we have to deal with that. So I think that's it, folks. And this was a little long. Like I said, we had a lot to cover in this episode. You know, how to go over the main stuff, the important things, and the reality of what our life is right now and where the world is right now. I had to address those things. And then the AFC West, man. Raiders are going to play. They're going to be second, but honestly, who cares? They're going to be a distant second. Let's get that straight. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, oh my God, the Raiders are going to be a threat. They're not. I'm sorry. The Raiders, prove it, all right? Until you can not be swept by the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chargers all ain't shit. Y'all can't do anything against the Chiefs. The teams I'm looking at, the teams that I'm concerned about that are going to be problems for us or hurdles for us, the Ravens, the Texans. Well, probably not even the Texans anymore because they don't have their number one wide receiver. So who knows what that's going to do, you know. The Saints, we got them on the calendar. Obviously, stupid-ass Tampa Bay and the stupid Patriots. And then, you know, the Niners if we play them again in the Super Bowl. So Seattle if we play them at any point. I don't think they're on the roster either, but unless we meet them in the Super Bowl, right? So those are the teams. Those are the other top teams, the other playoff teams. The Bills, I think the Bills are a bigger threat than all three of our goddamn AFC West teams, right? So, but beyond that, man, that concludes this episode of Most Foul Chief. I will see you guys. Oh, shit, I almost forgot. See, I totally splashed over it way at the beginning of the episode. I said I was going to talk shit about Dan Clore. And the reason why is because the reason why we are even having this episode, if you remember in episode 4, at the end of episode 4, I said, join me next week and we're going to have a watch along with Dan Clore and the Raiders. He punked out. Guess what? He punked out. Didn't want to do it because he didn't want to get the shit talked to him about his punk ass Raiders and watch them eat it like they always do. And he punked out. See, I'm calling you out, Dan. What's up? You want to prove me wrong? Let's do this watch along. Quit ducking me. Quit ducking me, homie. Right? Let's get it done. So because he was ducking me and hiding from me and doesn't want to hear it, right? Doesn't want to go see that little punk right. It's funny. I'm talking about him. The punk ass Raiders right on the screen behind me, right? I had to do this episode. I had to think of what did I want to talk about because we were supposed to do the watch long, and then he ran. He ran for the hills. He's actually right now, this very moment, he's hiding in some lodge right now, right? Up in the forest. He's out there hiding. So you ain't afraid, Dan, Mr. Clore, right? I'm calling you out. What's up? Answer the bell. Let's do this. Let's do this watch along. Take your medicine, take your ass whooping, and let's just do this. All right. I'll see you guys next week. It's been Most Foul Chief. See you later. Peace.